According to General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, June 11th, Michael Corinthos will vow to leave the nation with the kids while Drew Kane proclaims game over. It appears like both sides of this custody battle will have a lot of confidence. So let's talk about what's coming up on the ABC soap. For begin, there will be some additional plot developments in Port Charles. Kai Taylor will tell Trina Robinson that he overheard something he wasn't supposed to. That should prompt Kai to confess about the fight he overheard at Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson's residence. Kai may provide updates on Curtis' plan to use Jacinda against Drew, and ask Trina what she thinks he should do. While Trina and Kai decide what to do next, Jordan will persuade someone to give her a project. This could allow Jordan to continue gaining Jen Sidwell's trust and luring him into her trap. Isaiah Gannon, who discovered Portia during a tantrum, will support her in her workplace. It will lead to Isaiah advising that Portia take a step back, and he may believe she should take a leave of absence or at least a few days off. Curtis will summon Felicia Scorpio and announce that he wants to recruit her. Curtis will want Felicia to use her investigative talents to find Jacinda, so she'll accept the position on Wednesday's GH episode. Martin Gray will taunt Tracy Quartermaine about requiring his services sooner than she expects. Martin is devising a strategy to get his finances back on order, and Tracy is at the heart of it all. According to further General Hospital teasers, Drew would convince Willow Corinthos and Nina Reeves that the moment the truth was revealed, it was game over. Drew can argue that Michael's secret baby with Sasha Gilmore Corbin was enough to get Willow's sole custody. Nina will, however, release her rage on Wednesday's broadcast, so she may corner Drew privately and call him out for manipulating Wiley Corinthos. Nina isn't as eager to accept Wiley was misunderstood as Willow is, so she may scold Drew both for playing with Wiley's emotions and for sabotaging any possibility of a settlement with Michael. Meanwhile, Michael will disclose that he intends to flee the nation with Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Michael will be arranging this significant move in advance since he expects to win the custody battle. Carly Spencer, Jason Morgan, and Sonny Corinthos will all hear Michael's big announcement, but they might try to persuade him out of it. That is especially true now that the paternity secret has been revealed and Daisy Gilmore Corinthos has arrived. Sasha may be more inclined to allow Michael play a role in Daisy's life if he sticks around, which we know he will because Rory Gibson recently appeared on the scene as a successful Michael replacement. Regardless, there will be some twists and turns in this custody dispute, so don't miss out on what Michael and Willow will face. The estate was too quiet for Michael Corinthos' taste. The steady tick of the old clock in the foyer rang through the marble halls, like a countdown to something inevitable. He stood by the window, phone in hand, half listening to the silence behind him and partly watching the sunset behind the cityscape. His mouth clenched as he reread the message. It was from Willow. I trust you. Just tell me when. I'll be ready. Michael inhaled deeply. The choice had been simmering inside him for weeks, if not months, but it had finally burst forth as a screaming demand. The threat to his family, specifically his children, was no longer theoretical. It was real. It had a name, Sonny. He did not want to view things that way, did not want to confess it. But every time he glanced at Wiley and Amelia, he saw the danger lurking beyond the surface of his father's existence. It has been following them for too long. No more. You're really doing this? A voice asked from the doorway. Michael turned, knowing just who it was. Drew Kane entered the room, holding a document and wearing a stern expression. I told you I needed your help, Michael stated calmly. Drew tossed the folder on the coffee table. You didn't say you were planning on fleeing the country. Michael's silence spoke everything. Drew paced and ran his hand through his hair. What the hell are you thinking? You disappear with Willow and the children? You're not just running away from Sonny. You're destroying your entire life. What happens if he finds you? Because he will. He always does. He won't this time. Michael's voice was calm, but something was simmering underneath. This time I've made sure. Oh, you made sure? Drew scoffed. Do you think having a few offshore accounts and new passports is enough to outmaneuver Sonny Corinthos? He'll burn down half the earth to get those children back. And don't pretend you're only doing this for them. You're trying to hurt him. Michael looked aside. He left me no choice. Is there no choice? Drew came forward, his gaze sharpening. That man reared you. You're acting as if he's a stranger who showed up last week. You can't alter history because you're furious. I'm not angry, Michael yelled. I'm done. Drew folded his arms. So you're just going to escape into a place where Sunny's reach is irrelevant? Raise Wiley and Amelia as what? Ghosts? Do you think Willow is ready to never see her family again? She said she is. She says a lot of things when she thinks it's the only way to protect the kids, Drew remarked with a quip. Do you think she won't start unraveling after 6 months in hiding? Do you think Wiley won't ask about Grandma Nina or Grandpa Sunny, or why he can't go to school with his buddies anymore? Michael's face tightened. It won't be forever. You keep telling yourself that, Drew replied. But you and I both know once you cross this line it is. Michael returned his gaze to the window, which showed the metropolis in the distance flaming yellow and crimson. He is going to destroy everything. He already is. Drew's voice fell. You mean Ava? Michael didn't respond. He did not have to. The news of Sunny and Ava's intimacy affected him harder than he expected. Not because he cared who Sunny was with, but because of the significance. Ava, the woman who previously attempted to destroy their family, is now the mother figure for his father's youngest child. It was a treachery disguised in 1,000 ways. I get it, Drew answered, softening. You want to protect your children from the pandemonium. But running? That is not you. Michael turned, his eyes flaming. You don't know what I am anymore. Drew stepped forward undeterred. Let me remind you. You are the one who stood up to Sunny when he lost his mind. You're the guy who took over YLQ, who shielded Willow from disease, and battled for Wiley with everything he had. That guy does not run. That guy does not expatriate his children because his father made another mistake. It wasn't simply a mistake. Michael's voice crackled now. He selected Ava. He chose secrecy. He selected the business over and over, no matter how many individuals were injured. He does not change, Drew. He never will. Drew sighed and ran his hand across his face. Fine. Say you're correct. Say he is toxic. Let's say you, Willow, and the kids leave. What happens when Wiley is old enough to Google his name? What happens when Amelia wants to find out who her grandfather is? Will you lie to them for the rest of their lives? Michael stared blankly. I'm going to protect them. No, you're going to isolate them, Drew stated firmly. You believe you've solved the problem, but you're actually cutting the cord. You're not dealing with Sunny. You're attempting to delete him. And that is not how this works. There was a prolonged hush. Michael murmured. I've already made arrangements. You can unmake them, Drew remarked. But once you board that plane, it's game over. You are not the type of man who can return to this life after leaving. You take on a new identity. Forever. Michael's hands were trembling just barely. But Drew saw it. I thought you were on my side, Michael explained quietly. I am on your side, Drew said. That's why I'm standing here, pleading you not to do something that will ruin your life. Michael, I've seen what revenge looks like. I've lived it. It eats you from within. Michael drew a hesitant breath. You did not see what I saw. You did not hear what he said to me. How nonchalantly he dismissed everything. As if I were just an inconvenience. He's not doing well, Drew replied. You understand that. His judgment is incorrect. But he is still your father. And he still loves you. Michael shakes his head. That's not enough anymore. Drew gave him a long look before saying, so that's it? Are you going to be the one that disappears? Not the person who fixes it. Michael approached the table, picked up the folder Drew had dropped and opened it. Inside were documentation such as passports, foreign accounts, and international school applications. It was real. But his hands did not move. They simply hovered. Drew observed him. If you go through with this, you can't say you tried. You can't say you gave him a chance. You become the one who ran when things got tough. Michael looked up, rage and sadness written on every corner of his face. You don't know what it's like to be Sunny's son. Drew smiled without humor. No. But I understand what it is like to lose a family. To believe you're doing the right thing by walking away. And then waking up years later wondering what would have happened if you'd stayed and battled. Michael's gaze finally lowered. And with it, some of his determination. Footsteps sounded along the hall. Willow entered, holding a duffel bag and carrying Amelia in her arms. Wiley followed behind her, holding his rucksack. "Everything's ready," she said softly. Michael turned, clearly startled. Willow's gaze shifted to Drew, then returned to Michael. "What is it?" Michael didn't respond. He glanced down at the folder again. Drew said nothing. He understood Michael had to be the one to create the moment. Wiley climbed onto the sofa. "Daddy, are we going on vacation?" Michael knelt alongside him and touched his shoulder. "Something like that." Wiley smiled. "Will I get to play in the sand?" Michael gulped hard. "Yeah, there's a beach." Drew noticed Michael's hand tremble when he touched Wiley's hair. And then something snapped in him, something Drew prayed was still alive. Michael stepped up and faced Willow. "We can't go." She blinked. "What?" "I can't do this to them," he admitted, his voice shaking. "I can't take them away from their whole world because I'm afraid of my father." Willow looked at Drew and then back at Michael. "Are you sure?" Michael nodded slowly at first. "We stay. But we establish boundaries. Serious ones. He can't keep harming us. He can't just bring us back in without consequences." Drew exhaled quietly, almost with relief. Michael turned to face him. "You were correct. Running transforms me into a different person. And I do not want that." Drew placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then don't. Fight the correct manner. You can protect your family by being present with them." Willow set the bag down. "We will figure it out. Together." Michael sat on the couch, arms wrapped tightly around both youngsters. He buried his face in their hair, as if anchoring himself to what was actually important. Drew scooped up the folder from the table and silently went away. In the silence that followed, Michael felt something for the first time in months. Clarity. And just maybe the first glimmer of calm. General Hospital spoilers are in for Wednesday, June 11, 2025. Fans should expect Michael Corinthos to devise an exit strategy following the custody court. Martin Gray gets a premonition about Tracy Quartermain. Plus, Kai Taylor confesses to Trina Robinson. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap drama. Let us begin with Michael, who is currently awaiting the judge's ruling in the custody dispute. Both parents are sure that they will have sole custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Ned stood by the window, arms crossed. He is taking a step back. Leaving. Taking ELQ's oversight offshore. Tracy blinked, truly surprised. That idiot. That selfish, egotistical brat. Is he just walking away? Leaving the company in Drew's care? Oh, he'd enjoy it, wouldn't he? Apparently it's for the kids, Ned said with a hint of sympathy, but he was plainly not happy either. He thinks it's safer. Tracy stalked the room like a storm cloud wearing heels. We've toiled for decades to keep our family's heritage together, and now Michael is tossing it aside as if it were nothing. And will Drew gain from it? Despite his sanctimonious posturing. Maybe it's time we took back control, Ned said gently. Without Drew. Without Michael. Tracy's eyes shone with the fire of someone who had never lost a fight in her life. Damn right it is. Jason returned to the Corinthos warehouse, entering softly. Sonny was seated in the dark light of the surveillance cameras, deep in meditation. The room was quiet save for the hum of electronics. Is he really leaving? Jason asked. Sonny nodded once, keeping his lips tight. Jason sat next him. Are you going to stop him? I don't know if I can, Sonny acknowledged. He does not want to hear it. Does not trust me anymore. Jason gazed at his pal. Would you blame him? Sonny didn't respond. I warned him about Nina, Jason explained. I told him she could not be trusted. I told you too. Sonny's quiet was sufficient as a response. Jason said. He believes you will never change. That as long as you live, you pose a menace to his family. I am his family, Sonny explained coldly. Maybe not in the way he needs anymore. Those remarks stung more than Sonny imagined. In his society, power and loyalty had always been synonymous. However, his own son saw him as a threat, a hazard to be avoided. That kind of pain didn't go away with time. It merely festered. Later that night, Michael stood on the pier, looking out over the lake as the wind grew stronger. He had not informed everyone yet. He had not even informed Sonny directly. A part of him prayed that someone would stop him. that someone would make it clear that he didn't have to take such drastic measures. But no one arrived. His phone vibrated. Willow's message: "We're ready when you are." He glanced out over the bay, recalling all of the events, good and horrible, that had brought him here. All the bouts. All forgiveness. All the blood had been spilled to defend a legacy he had never requested. Behind him he heard steps. Isaiah approached silently. "Still time to change your mind." Michael turned. "You mentioned before that I needed to make peace with my decision." "I have." "Then you know this changes everything." Michael nodded. "Good." Drew stood in front of the Metro Court bar, drink in hand, his phone humming with congratulatory texts from pals who had been waiting for Michael to step down. He read them with delight, allowing himself to enjoy the occasion. He did not anticipate Tracy to walk in enraged. "Are you enjoying yourself?" she hissed. Drew made a turn. "Just toasting the future of ELQ." Tracy narrowed her gaze. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Michael made his choice. He made a mistake. "And if you think you own this corporation now, think again." Drew smiled, frigid but confident. "You'd have to pry it from my hands, Tracy." She moved closer. "That's exactly what I intend to do." Back at the Corinthos house, Sonny sat quietly. The family portrait hung on the wall with Michael, young and proud, standing beside him. That boy was now gone. In his place stood a man willing to walk away from everything they had achieved together. And perhaps Sonny reasoned he deserved that. But when he looked across the room at the vacant chair, he realized something. This wasn't the end. Families divide, but they also struggle to stay together. And if Michael thought leaving would fix things, he was mistaken. Because the fallout has only just started. Michael believes he will win and has already devised a strategy. In a preview for the next episode, Michael informs Carly Spencer, Jason Morgan, and Sonny Corinthos that he is taking the children out of the country. Michael is confident, as are Drew Kane and Willow Tate Corinthos. In fact, Drew smugly tells Willow and Nina Reeves that once the truth is revealed, the game is finished. Drew is simply forgetting his own secrets and sins. Drew made sure Willow felt Michael had declined to see her in Germany. General Hospital spoilers for tomorrow indicate that Portia will be stressed and under a lot of strain. While Portia cannot confide in Isaiah Gannon, he does give the doctor some counsel. Gannon suggests Portia take a step back. Right now, Portia is too close to see clearly. When she examines the scenario as if it were a patient's case, she may be able to determine what to do next. In the upcoming episode, Kai is expected to tell Trina that he overheard something he shouldn't have. Kai and Trina will then endeavor to come up with a solution. Meanwhile, Felicia Scorpio takes on a new mission. Does this have anything to do with Professor Henry Hank Dalton? Jordan Ashford ensures that she may be trusted. Martin informs Tracy that she may need his services sooner rather than later. Morning sunshine streamed through the Corinthos estate windows, creating golden lines on the smooth floor. Michael's expression was cold as he glanced at the packet in his hands. Inside were the finalized documents, decisions he never imagined he'd have to make. His jaw clenched as he reread them, knowing that once this was set in action, there was no going back. For weeks the pressure had been increasing. The consequences from Nina's disclosure, the dismantling of Sonny's empire, the power vacuum threatening to swallow Port Charles, and Michael's attempt to play peacemaker, protector, and son all at once had reached a breaking point. Now his children were his sole priority. His gaze shifted to the family photo on the mantel, which included Sonny, before he slowly flipped it face down. This time, he refused to let his father's world affect them. He had already spoken with Willow. The plot was in motion. They would leave Port Charles indefinitely, rather than for a brief journey. He had made plans to move ELQ activities to an offshore partner. Yes, it was drastic, but it was survival. Drew couldn't keep a smirk from forming on his lips as he sat back in his chair. He had just received a call confirming Michael's departure. It was just what he needed. With Michael gone and the ELQ board in turmoil, Drew could finally pursue his own agenda. One he'd been quietly building piece by piece, while everyone else was preoccupied with mob wars and family feuds. He didn't hate Michael. But business is business. And after going through hell, prison, treachery, having his loyalties called into question, Drew decided it was his turn to win. Allow Michael to act noble parent and retreat. Drew would stay and fix what they'd all broken. Message received. He mumbled under his breath as he examined the most recent LQ proposal. He almost wished Michael had stayed to fight. It would have made the victory even sweeter. But there was still time for some gloating. After all, he knew exactly who to contact to ensure that news of Michael's departure circulated just enough to sting. At Kelly's, Isaiah sat across from Jocelyn, sipping black coffee. He had been watching the town's pandemonium unfold with increasing concern. Having recently returned to Port Charles, Isaiah intended to relax, observe, and perhaps reconnect with his roots. But it didn't take long to notice that things were quickly unraveling, and Michael in particular was losing control. When Michael arrived to see him, he looked 10 years older than he did a month before, and Isaiah knew it wasn't going to be easy. "I'm leaving, Isaiah," Michael announced, without waiting for a welcome. Isaiah lifted an eyebrow, but said nothing while waiting. Michael sat heavy, shoulders hunched. "Me, Willow, and the kids. We are fleeing the nation. Permanently or for long enough to restart somewhere else. I can't keep jeopardizing their safety." Isaiah studied him. "And you believe running is the solution?" Michael yelled. "It's not running," and grumbled. "It's protective. Sonny's world is disintegrating. I tried to keep out of it and correct it. But now it's targeting my children." Isaiah leaned in. "It's not wrong to want to protect them. But have you considered what leaving actually means? What does it leave behind? Drew is already circling. Tracy will not take it gently. And Sonny." "I'm done with Sonny," Michael replied in a stern voice. Isaiah sat back and nodded slowly. "Then make peace with it. But don't pretend that leaving won't impact everything, for everyone." Tracy Quartermain was just pouring herself another glass of wine at the Quartermain estate when she got the news. "What is Michael's name?" she asked aggressively, almost dropping her drink. Christina arrives with Amelia and Wiley to see Daisy. They run into Lucas, and Christina asks him to watch Wiley, while she stops into the powder room with Amelia. Lucas gets a page and tells the boy that he'll be right over at the desks where he can see him if he needs something. Drew and Rick arrive, and Drew makes sure Wiley, who is sitting on a bench, overhears him saying that Willow has to get custody of Wiley and Amelia, because Michael doesn't want them anymore with the new baby. He says Michael only came back for Sasha and the baby. Drew walks off and Rick follows, calling him out for that performance. Drew says he hated hurting Wiley, but he can't let Willow compromise with Michael. Back on the benches where Wiley is sitting, Lucas finds the boy upset. Michael arrives and asks his son what is wrong. Wiley cries that he doesn't want him and Amelia anymore. Michael says that is not true. Michael insists he loves him and needs him to teach Amelia how to be a big sister, and he needs to be a big brother to Daisy. He asks where he got this idea, and Wiley admits he heard Uncle Drew say it. Christina, Michael, and the kids go to the nursery to see Daisy. Michael takes Christina aside and tells her that Drew sunk to a new low, and things aren't going to be okay between him and Willow until Drew is out of the picture. Ucky sees Liz to work on her first day back, and he knows it's also the last time he gets to do this. She tells him that he has a lot of goodbyes to make, and this is the right thing as they aren't the same people they were when they fell in love. Lucky says he'll always love her, and she says the same, but they both know he struggles with Port Charles. They should make this break now before they end up unhappy, and they hug. He tells her goodbye and heads out. Later, Lucas welcomes Liz back, but can see something is wrong. She says Lucky proposed and she told him no, and it was time for him to go. Liz explains that she and Lucky will always love one another, but it just won't work out for them. At the Q's boathouse, Chase finds Brooke Lynn thinking on the docks. She feels close to Gio here as he practiced his violin there a lot. She is furious with Lulu for doing this to them. Chase brings up her mom, who texted him, and he told her he couldn't be a go-between for her and her daughter. Brooke Lynn thanks him. Brooke Lynn feels she crushed Gio by admitting she gave him up, which hurt him the most. He thinks she didn't want him and she's caused her son pain. Chase says Gio will understand in time that she made the ultimate sacrifice for him, and he will forgive her. Brooke Lynn is worried Gio won't forgive her, and all because of secrets and lies she knew nothing about. Chase wants them to learn from this to never lie to their child, and to let them know they are adopted. Brooke Lynn agrees and has learned from her mistakes, unlike Lulu. At Lulu's she checks in on Rocco. Rocco says Gio isn't answering his texts, and right now his dad and Gio are hurting. Later, Lucky stops by and tells his sister he's leaving Port Charles. He explains that he will spend the summer traveling with Aiden before deciding where to go next. She hates this but understands and thinks he and Liz are being very mature in how they are handling the situation. She will miss him and was counting on him to help her through this rough patch. Lucky saw the video of the nurse's ball. Lulu feels horrible about what happened and that she hurt Gio. At the Metro Court pool, Ava arrives and Marco greets her. He reintroduces himself, including that he's dating Lucas. She notes she admires his father and his taste, which is when Marco breaks the news that his mother is Natalia. She apologizes to him for her part in exposing his mother's bigotry, but he understands his mother's intolerance better than she thinks. Rocco shows up to see Gio and asks if he got his texts and if he's angry with him. Gio says he didn't lie to him, so he's not angry with him. Rocco says he'd never lie to his brother, which makes Gio smile. Cody takes Carly aside with a proposition. He wants to host a weekly singles night by the pool, and says he can make this place the hottest hangout for wealthy singles in Port Charles. She says she loves his hustle, but they already have theme nights booked every night through the summer. Cody spots Gio and knows he moved out of the QS, and offers him any money if he needs help. Gio thanks him but says he's staying at Emma's, and he has everything he needs. Christina arrives at the pool and takes a deep breath. Gio checks on her, and she says she thought she could do this, and this is the first time she's been back here since the accident. He suggests she sit down and he brings her some water. He offers to walk her to the elevator, but she insists on doing this. Gio tells her to let him know if she needs him. Christina spots Ava walking around and making a deal on the phone for a painting. When Ava gets off, she finds Cody relaxing on her lounge chair. Cody apologizes and goes to get her a drink to say he's sorry. Christina watches their interactions. Ava is heading out later and Christina stops her. Ava says it's a beautiful day, one of those days that makes you enjoy your freedom, and then she walks out. Gio returns to Rocco, and Gio explains he's still trying to wrap his head around everything. When he was little, he was envious of people with crazy families. However, one of the best things to come out of these lies is finding out that Rocco's his brother. Rocco knows things are tough with his dad, but he can talk to him again about that night, and they can all move forward. Gio isn't ready to talk about Dante and what happened, declaring that Dante means nothing to him. At the courthouse, Nina and Willow believe Michael's call might be the miracle they've been hoping for. Nina believes Michael is ready to compromise. Willow says this is the Michael she knew before the accident and before he changed. Nina says this is the way, and she needs to be open and honest moving forward. Willow says if that's true, why has she been keeping secrets from her? Nina stammers and asks what secret she's keeping. Willow says the secret that Michael and Sasha slept together. Nina says she only found out, and Willow knows it had to have hurt her to hurt Sasha in that way. Nina swears she would do anything for her and loves her. Willow says she proved that by putting her first. Suddenly, a furious Michael arrives and tells Willow that thanks to Drew, Wiley thought he didn't want him and Amelia anymore. She thinks Wiley had to misunderstand what Drew said, but Michael says Drew said it to hurt Wiley deliberately. Willow defends Drew as a good man, and Michael has this wrong. Michael blows up and tells her this could have ended differently, and to remember this moment when she chose Drew over their kids. At the pool, Cody tells Christina, "Hello, Molly's sister." She asks Cody, "How'd you like to make some money?" Rocco tells Gio that they've always gotten along, so hanging out more wouldn't be a big change. Gio thinks they should put the brother thing on the back burner and focus on being friends. Rocco says he'd like that and he'll see him soon. At the hospital, Lucas tells Liz she's doing the responsible thing. Liz knows, but it still hurts. They embrace. At her place, Lucky tells Lulu she was only trying to do the right thing, and one day Gio and Dante will see that. He says he has to go, but he needs to hold things down for the Spencers. She wishes she could talk him into staying. He came back for her, and he's glad he did, but he wishes he were the match who could saved her. She says he's saved her more times than he realizes. He says, "Back at you." They tearfully embrace and say their I love yous. At the Q's estate, Marco shows up to meet Brooke Lynn at the boathouse. She tells him that she needs a lawyer without any ties or conflicts of interest. She asks if he has any contact with Lulu Spencer. He doesn't believe so. BLQ says they should get started,